It's Lauren here for Bead Brief, and today we're going to talk about Czech glass and what some of the words we use to describe the Czech glass beads on our website, beadboxbargains.com, actually mean.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here. I'm Joy, and we are looking at those words in the title and trying to describe to you what they mean. We're going to talk about the manufacturing process of the glass. We're going to talk about the shapes and the colors and the finishes on all of the beads that we have that are Czech glass beads. And we're going to start with the manufacturing process.
Yes.
And I'm excited to look at those with you.
All right, let's take a look at some beads. All right, so if you're shopping for Czech glass on our website, the first thing you're going to see in the title after the piece count and the bead size and the word Czech, so you know it's Czech glass, is going to be the manufacturing process used to make the bead. And we have three basic manufacturing processes.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about pressed glass, fire polished glass, and table cut glass.
Yeah, so now all beads start out, at least all Czech glass beads start out as pressed glass. So how this works is long, big rods of glass are fed through molding machines to be melted down and molded. And then they actually come out in long strips of beads connected by like little extra bits in between. So if you've ever gotten machine sorted glass from us and been like, why is this little weird extra bit? That was a little piece left over. Most of it's sorted out, but so every now and then you get a little funky middle piece that was between beads. But anyway, after it's been molded, the glass is then tumbled in these big old tumblers, and that can take anywhere from like most of a day to about a week, depending on what exactly you're making. And I'll show you here. You can see on the more detailed Czech glass shapes, because the press shapes, I mean, the range of shapes and styles is just incredible, which is one of the things we love about Czech glass.
Yeah, love all of the differences that you can get in the character of all the different shapes.
So fun. So you have everything from very simple shapes like these rounds, just classic Druck rounds, to like these little pressed owls and these shells and flowers. Here are some flowers. But whether when you want to keep the high level of detail, you're not going to tumble it for as long. So that means the more detailed the shape, the more seaming you're likely to see on it. Let's see here. This shell is a good example. You've got this line because all pressed glass is made from two halves of a mold that are pressed together. So that's where all these shapes come from. And then you've got your rounded shapes, which are tumbled for a longer time, and it erases a lot more of that seam. So again, it just depends on the style of glass and the finish and the shape that you're trying to get, how long your pressed beads will be tumbled for, and how much of that seaming you're going to be able to erase. So that's the basics of how the pressed glass is made. After it comes out of the tumbler, like these blue opal glass beads, sometimes it's ready to go. It's all set. Other times you're going to have special coatings applied, and we'll talk more about those later. But in other types of glass, then you've also got two more techniques that can be applied instead of leaving them just pressed glass. And Joy is going to tell us a little bit about fire polishing.
Awesome. So fire polish beads, we're going to look at some fire polish beads, and they go through, after the pressing process, they're going to be, well, let's see, what do we say that they were going to be?
They're going to be grounds. You're going to have the facets ground into them.
Right. So you're going to have the facets ground so that they have that pretty faceting. And then after they've had those facets ground, they're going to have to be heated up again because they'll be nice and they'll be rough.
Yeah,
and
they get a little matte sometimes during that process.
Mattified, rough, and we want them to be shiny and beautiful. So they're going to have to go heat them back up, and then they kind of melt down a little bit to give them the shine back. And that's why sometimes you end up with some irregular facets.
Yeah,
you might
here's
see
one here. Yeah.
Yes, and some of these don't look quite as precise as like Picasso or
Swarovski.
I never can say that word. No, you're good. You know what I'm like.
Words
go away when I'm on video.
You're doing great.
And then I love these. I love the fire polish drops. They're just so pretty.
Yeah.
You get all those different types of facets.
And we love the character that comes from each facet being slightly different. You can see here, like Joy pointed out, they're not going to look the same as the machine cut crystals you get, but
That's true.
they have so much character from this very traditional process.
And I just think it's so cool that they just kind of, like, if you've ever looked at it, they kind of like put it in a tray and like melt it down, and like there's like it's really cool. I don't know. I love the way it adds that shine back to it. And
They're so
it's
glossy.
a neat process.
Yep, I love that. So yeah, so that's fire polished glass, and the third type of process that can be used is table cutting. So with a table cut glass, instead of, as Joy described, getting individual facets ground down and then going into the fire, again, you are going to have a grinding process that takes place, unsurprisingly, more on a table, more on a flat surface. So you have these beads that are actually, I found out, usually cemented down in a flat line so that they don't move while they're being ground. And then just a big grinder that comes on top of them and grinds to a polish, just a flat surface on the beads. So table cut beads, as opposed to fire polished beads, which are going to have a lot of different facets. Table cut beads are usually only going to have a few flat surfaces. So, and you're going to have more. Usually more of the bead is taken up by the cut. And
didn't we have a flower example of that also?
Oh yes, thanks for reminding me. This is actually a great example. So here's a table cut flower, and you can see they don't push it down all the way into the center of the bead, just the edges have that cut on them. And it is very glossy, very pretty. And another thing that is really interesting about this flower too is you can see they've done the coating. You've got this wonderful Picasso coating around the edge, and then they've ground through it with the table cutting to reveal the glass underneath. So that's a technique that you'll see a lot with table cut pieces as well, and it's one of my favorites. So yeah, speaking of finishes, we've got a lot of those to look at today too. So we're gonna clear this up and take a look at what some of those glass color and finish words mean. All right, so after the manufacturing process, you'll see the bead shape, and then you're going to have the base color of the glass used. So sometimes it's very obvious, and it can be opaque or transparent, like these are an opaque red versus these transparent red, and they've all got fancy names, of course. But they can also, in addition to just your basic opaque and transparent, we've got some other fun possibilities too.
We've got some opal finishes, or bases rather, not finishes.
Yeah,
these are opal glass.
And there's specifically a color of glass rod used, yes.
And it gives them this kind of like milky look almost. They're slightly not transparent. There's some variation among the colors.
Yes, you've got some that tend to be more transparent and some that tend to verge on the opaque. I think these blue opal, this like aqua blue opal here is a really good example of that versus these more clear powder blue opal.
Yeah,
so the
that
opacity,
one's pretty opaque.
Oh yeah, that's a good example. The opacity will vary in an opal glass base just because that's the way that glass works.
And that's a cool thing to know because expectations,
yeah,
you won't always get exactly the same shade.
We always try to do variation photos on the website if we notice a big difference. And another thing we do is basically every batch that comes in, we do check that and we'll take new product photos because sometimes even with the exact same color glass rods used in the exact same process, they don't always look identical. Different batches can vary. Mm-hmm. Another one of our favorite glass types is this silk finish. And so that is going to have a very different shine on the opal. It almost looks like cat's eye. It's got some play of light to it. And I love these big disc pendants.
I just love how they look.
Yes.
I don't know.
They're
I
gorgeous.
love this silky look. It's like either makes me think of like pudding. I I guess I'm hungry.
You can tell it's almost lunchtime. No, but I see what you mean. And sometimes you'll have some striations too, and other times it'll be more smooth. A lot of times this silk color is suspended in clear glass, as you can see here. So you may have some swirls of clear and other swirls of more color saturated glass. So you do get some variation that way as well with the silk glass.
It can be really interesting to get some clear coming through, like she said here, or like just sometimes it swirls and sometimes it stripes. Like that can just be so interesting.
They're all so unique, and that's what we love about Czech glass. It's just all the differences. All right, so after the base color, you will also have any or sometimes right before it, in the case of like matte, usually we'll say like it's a matte ruby or whatever. You will have any notes about finishes like matte or etched. So
Let's look at some of those.
let's take a look at that. I think I've got some nice matte beads over here, and here's some etched. All right, so we'll put these out for you real quick and we'll be right back.
Okay, so the difference between matte and etched, we're going to look at these matte beads. These are just tumbled for a different length of time than the more polished, shinier looking rounds. It gives them kind of this frosted appearance. This also has an AB on it that makes it have that shine. But yeah, it gives it that frosty appearance. And then we also have these matte beads. And you can see how they're just, you know.
It's such an understated type of glow. Yeah, it's a matte finish. It's not polished, like you said.
Yeah. It's sort of like that preference between like, do you like glassy or matte lipstick? You know, it's like
satin or eggshell interior paint.
Right. What do you want it to look like in your project? And it can really set off a project having a matte bead thrown in with some shinier beads. I think it looks really cool.
I agree. I especially love these. Just that shape.
Gorgeous.
So pretty. But no, so that's contrasting that then is the etched finish, which is another way to get this more frosted, not polished look. However, etching is done with an acid bath, actually. So it creates all of these little pits and swirls and just like various shapes cut into the bead. It have a really textured feel to them. This particular bead has a rose gold wash applied then, and I chose it because you can really see where the wash settles into those etchings. And yeah, as I throw them all around the room.
I'm obsessed with those beads.
Oh my goodness,
the
these
color
are gorgeous.
combination just.
These are still in sorting, aren't they?
They are. They're not. They're not.
I love them.
They're not out on the site yet.
But
they actually are a relist, I think.
Oh,
so we may
had them
have
before.
them.
We'll see. But no, I love just the different patterns you get on
That one
here.
has so much texture.
It does. They're all so different. So they're then, of course, carefully washed, and some of them, like these, will have finishes applied on top of the etching, and some will just go out as an etched look. So one thing to note when you're buying etched beads is that depending on the length of the acid bath and the amount of the etching, they can tend to be a tiny bit smaller than their counterparts. So if you're using them in like a woven design or something where size is important, it's just something to keep in mind because of the etching process. But I'll put them up here so you can kind of see them compared to the matte beads. And I feel like the matte finish is almost more of like a frosted glowy type, and then the AB finish helps with that. But I mean, this is a little more of a flat finish and less of a frosted finish with the etching.
Yeah, I think that's usually true.
Yeah, so all right, so now let's talk about the final words that you'll see in our title, and that's going to be any coatings that have been applied to the bead.
You might hear words like luster and wash and splatter, and those are the words that we sometimes use on some of these. Is because the finishes can be applied, they're just a little different the way that they look on the beads.
Okay, so one of the most popular finishes that you'll see in Czech glass is Picasso, and this can look all sorts of different ways over all different colored glasses, but in one of the most common is just this wonderful rich brown. So you can see this has the Picasso wash, And it's also in the center of the bead there.
These ones also have Picasso, and it's only on those edges. Of course, I mean, it was everywhere, but it was ground off, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
But
With
it's
the fire
on
polish.
those tips, and it has this like, I don't know what color you would
It looks
call
almost
that.
like blue-green sometimes, especially over darker colors. You can see there's brown undertones underneath it, but depending on how thickly applied and what formula is used, like it can look everything from like the classic brown to really, really blue.
It feels like usually it's kind of splotchy like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have kind
That's
of
true.
a lot of splotching, which is not a very attractive word, but
A lot of color variations.
thank you, thank you. I just don't know. Like, to me, that's splotching, but I like it.
No, that is one of the things though that I love about Picasso is that it always looks a little bit different over whatever color and the thickness of the glaze. Yeah, when it is extra thick, you get these nice splotches. We're gonna go with that.
Okay.
I love it. A similar one.
Is the travertine.
Yay.
Yes.
And it can look a little blue as well here. And you've got some reddish brown undertones with this particular batch as well. Like Picasso, travertine also varies widely from batch to batch. Here's some that are a lot more silver. These little owls have travertine over, looks like an opal, like a sand opal, I think.
I think they're yellow.
Are they yellow opal? Yeah, you're right. They are yellow opal underneath. You just can't tell because of the brownish
Yeah, it's a heavy
undertones.
travertine.
It is a very heavy, and it does tend to get silvery when it's very heavy.
And every once in a while, to make it very clear in a listing, we might put that it has a light travertine or a heavy
Yes.
travertine, so that you understand that most of what you're seeing is the coat. But when you get it in the light, you might see those undercolors coming through. Like,
Yeah,
you can
particularly-
kind of see that it's a little yellow under there in the light.
Yeah, I would. That's a very good point. If you really can't see the base color and it doesn't make any sense to say, oh, hey, these are green with Picasso, and you're like, Lauren, that's brown. That's just, it's brown. We'll say, we'll still specify the base color used because that will change the look of the top coat a lot. But we'll put heavy Picasso. So, yeah, that's a really good point. All right. Should we talk about AB next?
Yeah, we've had a lot of questions about AB
Yes.
and the difference between AB by itself or AB times 2 or full AB.
Yes. So AB stands for Aurora Borealis, and it is a very multicolor shine. I think you got the other. Yeah,
These
there
were
we go.
the frosted or matte, but you can see that it has just your basic AB. You can't see it on all of the sides of the beads, just
Yeah.
on some.
So yeah, traditional AB, it's the Aurora Borealis finish is going to be on about a half of the bead. And then the other half is you're going to see the glass color underneath. However, in the AB 2x or 2 times, basically what that means is the finish has been applied twice. So to both sides of the bead here, you can see these little cats. They've got this rainbowy color on both sides. So that is what the classic AB versus the AB 2 times means. As far as the shimmer goes,
Right.
if you want to,
That one's the luster.
the luster, yes, it is shimmer and crystals, luster in Czech glass. Thank you for the correction there. Yes.
So we had a train break, and we were talking about these really pretty shiny beads. This is a luster finish, and it has all the shine without the color play. It's just really shiny and pretty and lustery. So
But not rainbowy.
yes, not rainbowy like that AB finish. So
No northern lights there.
yeah,
Yep.
no color.
Super shiny.
I love those roses.
Me too. And you can see the underlying color really well, usually with the luster finish.
You can, yeah.
All right. Should we take a look at some metallic finishes?
Oh yeah, let's do that.
All right. So if you've ever wondered what the difference between Maria and Slipperit is, you're about to find out. It's a question that keeps many people up at night, I know. So this is Slipper It, and it is a wash. And when we say something has a wash over it, what we mean is that it's been basically quickly coated so that it just settles into the pattern. It's not a full coat. You can still see the underlying color. But this Slipper It is a really pretty, like super pink metallic. You've got pink, you've got blue, you've got a little purple in there too, a little gold look. And then we have Maria, which is similar but less pink, more on the gold side of things. And as you can see, this is also a half coat, and it ranges from sort of this almost a silver gold, not quite as much as like a Valentinate, which is a very silver gold combination.
Ah, yeah.
You get a little bit of pink, but you get a lot of gold in there too. So that's Maria versus Slipper It.
Gosh, those are pretty.
They are so pretty. And then we have the iris finishes. So with an iris finish, you're going to get a lot of variation. It's a metallic color. This is the blue iris as opposed to a green iris. But as you can hopefully see under the studio lights, the individual colors will vary a lot. But these do have more of a green cast to them versus the slightly blue over here. But anyway, when you see the word iris, it means there's a lot, like expect variation. There's going to be a lot of difference in each individual bag. You're going to get a whole bunch of different colors.
They're like truly multicolor.
Truly multicolored, yes.
Not just in the typical coating kind of look, like they really are covered with a multicolor.
Absolutely.
And you're going to have a lot of variance between the different beads themselves. So they coordinate, but they are not matching per se.
Yes, absolutely. That's a really good description. And then we also sometimes end up with different kinds of metallic accents. So you have some that have more like a wash. This one is a shimmer, and you can see it's got little tiny flecks of gold. It's not like a full opaque coat, but it's more than a wash, and it's not just settling into the little designs here. It is all over the bead.
And these were also etched, and so that's what makes them look a little bit more rough or matte in appearance, because they had an etch before that gold shimmer was put over them.
Absolutely. And then these have what we call a splash. So instead of just, the little constant shimmery bits, you have splotches, since that's our word for the day.
See, no, this one to me, it looks like you took a little squirt gun and sprayed the gold over it.
Sprayed it over it, and who knows?
I don't know how they did that one, but I love it.
I love it too.
It's really fun.
But again, as opposed to a wash, which also these shells have a kind of heavy wash.
They do.
They do.
It's really heavy.
It is. But you can see with a wash, you can generally see the underlying color. With the splash, well, this one has Picasso under the splash. And that's another thing, when we have multiple finishes used, which is a very common occurrence, you're going to have the words on our website will be in this order. You will have the base coat, or the base glass color, and then any extra coatings will be listed in the order they appear. So this is going to be, I believe it is a turquoise glass base, and then Picasso gold splash. So it's turquoise, Picasso, gold splash, because that's the order in which all the things were done. This results in some very wordy titles.
Yeah.
But we're trying our best to let you know what these beads are, what finishes are on them, what color they are under the finishes, and how they were made.
Yeah. Sometimes it helps in coordinating your different beads in your project. It also might help you, if you can't see, we try really hard with our photos to represent all the colors shown, but if you don't see all the colors come through, at least then you have a better idea of what base colors might be there.
Yeah, and some
interesting.
Yeah, some finishes, like a nebula finish especially.
Oh yes.
It's important to know what the base color is, because it will greatly affect the final look of the piece, but you cannot tell what the base color is. Like the base color for these is actually like a hyacinth orange. and you would never know that they are matte, but they've got that nebula finish, which is one of my favorites. It's a thicker finish and it looks very different depending on what color glass it is on top of. So yeah, we're just always trying to do our best to let you know what you're getting.
So that's why we want to make sure you know what you're getting with our title names and getting things in order so that you know what to expect. And we really enjoyed showing you all of these different beads, and there's so many more that we didn't even get to show you.
Oh, goodness.
But this is a start, an introduction.
Yes, there's a lot more finishes out there. And if you have any questions about any specific ones, let us know in the comments. We wish we had time to go through absolutely every item in our inventory, but we would be here all week. So this is just sort of, we wanted to let you know when you're shopping our website. The titles basically will walk you through what kind of processes were used to make the bead, and then what kind of base colors and finishes. So just to summarize, I hope that's helpful, and we've certainly had a lot of fun playing around with beads today.
Yes, we have.
Thanks so much for joining us for Bead Brief. Our goal with this new segment is to help explain what the precise meanings of the words we use on our website are. It's very important to me that when you're shopping at Bead Box Bargains, you have an understanding of what you're going to receive, especially selling online. It can be difficult. You know, monitors have different colors, so we want to always make sure that the terminology we use is clear and precise, and we want to make sure that we're very upfront about what that means.
We're really excited about this segment, and we would love to hear from you. Please comment below what you would like to see next on Bead Brief, and let us know what you thought of this segment.
Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for being here, and as always, happy beading.